Donald Trump had a rally in New York, and the left very unhappy about this. Hochul, AOC calling the Trumpers clowns and so on. But it was a good turnout. You can see this is raising some eyebrows. Trump posted this on True Social. It says, "I was thrilled to be back in the city I grew up in, the city I spent my life in, the city I helped build, and the city we all love. Thank you." And meanwhile, we know Tish and Engeron and Mercon and the rest of them are trying to tear the city down, trying to literally steal his buildings that he helped to build. And so this was the nice photo. You can see we're always talking about turnout and numbers, and the media says there's like 17 people there. Okay, stop it, MAGA. You guys are being ridiculous. Stop over exaggerating. And then, of course, we've come around on the other side, and Trump comes out. He says, like 300 million people were there. I'm like, well, I don't think not quite that many either, but you can see nice turnout. A lot of concern about this in New York. We'll see they are unhappy about it, the politicians at least. Trump also shared a video. He says, here's how we're going to win in 2024. And I know there's a lot of concern about the election, and we know how badly it was rigged the last time we were here. So we're asking ourselves, what's the point of voting or engaging in this? I mean, I'm not, or I know we're not, but a lot of other people are. We got to get engaged. We got to, of course, be involved in what's happening here. But Trump's solution, too big to rig. And it seems like that energy is moving quite nicely that direction, because at this point in time, if they tell us that Joe Biden wins this election, I don't think anybody's going to believe it for a second. So here is just this video that they shared from Trump. Looks like a nice crowd.
Too rigged. Our vote is going to be too big, too rigged. The one thing they can't guard against, working together, there is nothing we cannot do and no height we cannot achieve. Together we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again.
Yeah!
America safe again. We will make America great again. Thank you, Bronx.
Yeah!
Thank you, New York. We love you. Thank you. God bless everybody.
God bless you, Mr. President. Thanks for showing up there in New York. All right, so yeah, it's a pretty nice crowd. Joe Biden has like 3 guys with a little flag. And he's like, hey, Joe Biden, yay. We love Ukraine with their Ukraine flags. So, all right, so sounds pretty good over there. You can see why they might be a little bit concerned on some of this. We have Trump vowing now to save deep blue New York City in massive historic Bronx rally. And they're telling us 25,000 supporters came down. That's a pretty big number. Joe Biden can't hardly pull together 5. So he was out there. Here is what they tell us, that these were broken political norms. He visited the most deep blue areas in New York City, a town not necessarily known for its kindness to Republicans. So he rallied a big crowd, 25,000 people, far more than the 3,500 that they said that they were expected to attend. Those numbers appear to also include those lined up outside the event. It says, I'm here tonight to declare that we're going to turn New York City around. We're going to turn it around very, very quickly, he said. We're going to make New York bigger, better, and greater than ever before. He praised the history of New York, never seen anything quite like it, says other people. Trump went on the rail against Biden, and so on. So they obviously are a little concerned about this. Now, again, I'm not saying that Trump is going to win New York. Obviously, there's a lot of really weird people there who are going to vote blue no matter what you do. And Trump will have to overcome that. But if he goes in and he moves just a small percentage even in New York, that will have trickle-down effects. If he's moving percentage points in New York, that means he's moving percentage points everywhere else around the country. So if a New Yorker can't save this city, no one can, says Trump. Who says we're not going to win New York? Ooh, that'd be fun. So there was more reaction to this. So AOC, very unhappy. She went ballistic. This clip came over from Bo Loudon on X. And here's just a short clip of AOC because we can only tolerate about 10 seconds.
New York City's blue. Brooklyn is blue. Queens is blue. The Bronx is blue. And he's got nowhere to go. And so he's decided to come to the South Bronx.
Okay, so she's very unhappy about that. She's whining. Here is what Hochul said about this, because she's also calling Trump supporters clowns. Member basket of deplorables. Member extreme MAGA. Now we have clowns from Kathy Hochul.
Well, I'll tell you, it won't make a difference at all, Jake, and that is for Donald Trump to be the ringleader of and invite all his clowns to a place like the Bronx. New York will never, ever support Donald Trump for president. We know him better than anyone, and that means we understand what he's all about is just for himself. So this state will go solidly behind Joe Biden for president as it has in the past. So he wants to spend his time doing these made-up fake rallies and pretending their support here. Be my guest, because while you're doing that, Donald Trump, Joe Biden's out there on the other side making sure he's delivering for all Americans. And so go ahead, spend all your time you want in New York, because we'll be with Joe Biden. And Joe Biden's out there winning over the rest of the battleground states.
No, he's not. Actually, no, he's not. They're very concerned about that. We'll talk about that in the next segment. But Joe's having a tough time, and so it felt like a lot of cope there. You want to come in here? I don't care. I don't care. I didn't want to go to your party anyways. All her friends are at the Trump rally. She's like, hey, do you want to go to dinner with me? They're like, no, are you nuts? Trump's in town. Get your MAGA hat. Let's go. So she's very upset about it. And of course, the rest of New York as well. Here was CNN. CNN's a little concerned about this. This came over from the Daily Caller. So they shared this. CNN said, the rally was a little bit larger than Joe Biden would like. And Donald Trump is kind of doing a good job campaigning. The CNN correspondent here is called Kristen Holmes. She credited Trump as being on message. Turnout's much bigger than they expected. Here is what the soundbite sounds like.
Front where Trump is holding his rally. Kristen, a place that a few years ago you never would have thought you'd be standing at a Trump rally. There you are right now. What is turnout like?
Well, I would tell you, Aaron, turnout is certainly much larger than the Biden campaign would like, given that this is one of the bluest counties in the entire country. But of course, as you said, this is coming as Donald Trump is making a play for minority voters, particularly black men and Latino men. That is something that we know that Donald Trump, one, sees some opportunity with, but also, two, as you showed in that recent polling, there's some movement there. And they really believe they can siphon off these minority voters from Democratic groups. Now, the other part of this that's been really interesting is Donald Trump himself saying that he believes New York is in play. Now, I will obviously tell you that 2016 he said the same thing. 2020 he said the same thing. Both times he lost the state by roughly 20 points or more. But Donald Trump is here for two reasons. One, we know that he's courting minority voters. Two, he had to be here, or at least his team thought he had to be here. He was supposed to be in court today. They thought he was going to be in court through the end of the week. Obviously, that wrapped on Tuesday, and they had planned this rally for several months in advance, trying to go to various communities, areas in New York to keep him somewhat on the campaign trail, somewhat surrounded by people who would be cheering for him while he was in court all day long. But I will say he's remarkably on message here, talking about things that do matter to New York voters, talking about helping with infrastructure, helping with jobs. And I talked to a number of people in the Bronx today before we even got into the rally. And then the really response to him being here was mixed. We had people saying he should get out, that he doesn't belong here, but we also had people saying that they voted for Biden in 2020 and they were looking for an alternative. Many of them saying the economy, saying they felt like times were too hard and they were looking at seriously voting for Donald Trump. Aaron?
Right on.
All right,
okay. It's nice to hear Trump in the background and them acknowledging this is having some impact. Biden people not liking the fact that it was so filled, so much energy. It has the 2016 feel. If you were paying attention in 2016, there's good energy in the air again. And of course, you can understand why that is concerning to them. So here was another clip. Trump called in to WABC, which is in New York. And so let's listen to some of this to see what they got into.
Well, my message is we have to make it better. We have to heal it. It's never been like this. And you have hundreds of thousands of migrants taking up your schools and taking up your hospitals and your parks. And it's never been like this. I could say the same for other cities, but New York got hit harder and you have bigger numbers. And it's costing a fortune and the taxpayers are paying for it from New York. And it's a catastrophe. And I think it's really time for New York to go Republican. We're going to rebuild the state. We're going to rebuild the city. And we're going to spend the money that's necessary. We're going to make it great again. And we're going to have to get the illegals out of New York because no place can sustain it. No place.
Do you really think there's a chance that New York, blue state, could be in play this election season?
Well, I do. If we can have an honest election and if we can let the facts out, and that's what we're doing on Thursday. We're starting with a really good rally, and it's being very interesting. This hasn't been done in a long time, but it'll be very interesting. And we're doing some other big things that you and John know about, and I think it's going to be in play. Why wouldn't it be? Biden's done it. He's failed. Biden has failed to deliver. He's failed at everything he's done. He's the worst president in the history of our country by far. Jimmy Carter is brilliant by comparison. I mean, his administration, Jimmy Carter, would be a brilliant brilliant administration by comparison to Biden. Biden is the worst president we've ever had. Not a thing he's done has been right, if you think about it.
All right, so that's reaction from Trump, and rally's now done. We have, in addition to that, some unification within the party. Earlier this week, we had Nikki Haley come out and say she's on the Trump train. Welcome aboard, Nikki. Now, Trump, in reaction to that, gets asked about bringing her on the team. We're not fans of Nikki Haley here. However, I do understand the political posture and the political science behind putting her on the ticket. Now, I know he said that he's not considering her for VP, but that was when she was not on the Trump train. Now she's on the Trump train. So will this situation change? Here is Trump on Nikki Haley.
A big night last night. Nikki Haley making her first public remarks since dropping out of the race. She said that Joe Biden has been a catastrophe, and she said she's voting for you. I'm sure those were welcome remarks for you, but it also left a lot of people wondering, is there room for her on your team, or better yet, your ticket?
Well, I think she's going to be on our team because we have a lot of the same ideas, the same thoughts. I appreciated what she said. You know, we had a nasty campaign. It was pretty nasty, but she's a very capable person, and I'm sure she's going to be on our team in some form. Absolutely.
All right, so where's she going to end up? I don't know, but that's the clip. So Trump back in New York, and we've got some good energy. The left obviously unhappy about this. I think rightfully so. Joe Biden is not creating any energy whatsoever, and it feels like, in fact, it's going the opposite direction. So we'll see what happens in New York as Trump continues to campaign.